Okay, it's telling me that we're live, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to the ChatterOps Community Show, a show where we interview an interesting person about interesting things and then talk to the wider community about those things. I'm your host, Mike Lombardi. Today, I'm going to be interviewing Ebru Cucen. Hello.
Hello.
So I'm going to go ahead and start by asking you the what has become our traditional question, and that is, who are you and what makes you you? And you can keep it short if you'd like. You don't have to. No novels if you don't want to.
Oh, thank you. I'm Ebru. I'm working as information engineer. And
Sorry.
I used to be .NET developer, and now I'm kind of helping automation with PowerShell, that implementing DevOps practices and agile practices across companies. And I'm vegan. I have a 4.5-year-old boy. It's just trying to juggle everything on and off. And I love being part of meetup user groups because I love learning and sharing. That I think makes me happy.
Yeah. I'm gonna take myself off of hiding, which I accidentally did. Okay, so I'm not pinned away in the corner somewhere unseeable. But so that sounds awesome. So how did you get into doing user groups? How did that first start for you?
I think to share that I wanted to learn more about what I'm doing. I used to be a developer, and it was part of kind of daily practice. You can read books, you can something. We are talking about 10 years, 12 years back. We didn't have enough communities, and I started looking kind of conferences and other places wasn't enough to share the information, to learn more about the practices, what people are doing daily, or maybe go to 9-to-5 work, but what we do, how we do. Everyone is facing the same, similar possibly challenges, but I felt like I'm in a room, dark room, locked. And I needed someone to talk to, possibly made me the extra move to meet some new people and to ask them what you are doing, how you are doing, kind of the part of it.
Did you find that it made a huge difference to you over like the last couple of years, that once you started going to the user groups, a lot of it kind of, that isolation went away a little bit? Do you find that your experiences were more universal than you guessed at first?
Yes.
I mean, that makes sense. That's so I'm still new to that journey. I think I've only been doing it for around 2 years, but I found a lot of that was true for me. I know I'm not the only person who's had this problem. I'm gonna go find other smart people who have solved it for me.
Yeah.
So I have a few questions that I'd like to kind of ask. So what are some things that stop people from kind of getting into user groups?
Time, I would say the first constraint. There are so many people who have commitments to family and location-wise, and it may not be trivial. We are in London. I mean, I'm kind of quite central, my home, but some people have to live outside of London, so it does help to have a central location and having less family or shared family responsibility. In a sense, that's how I manage, to be honest, because I'm a mom. I have much more responsibility be able to available and commit. The other part is, I guess, unknown. You don't know how many people you will see and what they will be talking about, how much is relevant to you. So it's kind of being shyness part, possibly.
So running a user group, how have you kind of been able to help people come in and feel less of that shyness and some of those? Whereas, I mean, there's really nothing you can do as an organizer, I guess, around making their family commitments easier, right? But you can help them out when it comes to, like, you know, we're not expecting you to come and do a 30-minute talk every time you show up, right? And how do you lower that barrier for people to feel like they can get involved without being overwhelmed?
Networking, kind of, we try to make the breaks kind of after and in between. We try to provide food and beer, kind of whatever the drink. It does help the networking, so that people get talk to each other, at least kind of introduce themselves. This is inside the talk, I guess. If you have two talks, the more people engage in the talks, ask questions, the more other people understand about the challenges or the settings of the other people's work or kind of similar setting. Then they can engage more in the breaks. So we try to make people ask as many questions as they want or tell what problems they have. And the friendships they make actually in that community makes us like to come back again. It's like I'm gonna have another beer with my friends, kind of another hangout. We kind of made it comfortable place to ask questions and to share, and everyone feels getting something out of the meetup. The feedback I get is every time we try to provide some comment forms so that they give us feedback. And the thing we got is, yes, they are quite informal. They are quite informative. So we do come and learn something which I can use next day at my work. Makes us valuable, I guess.
So not to get too into like the insider baseball kind of talking about stuff that mostly matters to organizers, but how have you been able to do that fine line between talking about the things that maybe you find most interesting right now, or like stuff that's kind of picking at your brain, and then making sure that you're providing back content that is valuable for like the 95% of the people who are attending, that, you know, because what we've noticed so far has been that there are a lot of people who are still coming to the user groups that are at the beginning of their journeys for whatever that user group is. So how do you balance the desire? Because a lot of the people who will come and speak tend to be the intermediate to advanced folks, just because they're more comfortable, they're more familiar, they feel like they can give those talks. So how do you balance like what topics are interesting there versus like, because we got feedback a couple times where we would do a presentation, people were like, that's really, really cool, I don't know when I'm ever gonna have to do that, it's so far over my head right now. You're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do, I don't want you to feel that way. So how do you balance that? Do you guys do you do a split between like some beginner content 1 month, or do you do both beginner and slightly more advanced content at the same time, or how does that work for you?
I think we don't go either way. Most of our talks are intermediate. So if we need lower the barrier for the attendees, we can. If we go higher, yes, but we never did the beginner level session, to be honest, and we never did something too much complicated that people is too away. We try to kind of barrier that limit, and we get feedbacks from our attendees, so they do provide us the topics they are interested in to learn, and we literally go and try to find on those topics speakers. So, and they have a value in, but those are the people who give feedback. There are, I'm sure, people who hasn't given feedback, but still happy to be part of it is still coming.
So that kind of, so how have you been soliciting feedback? Do you have, it sounds like you have actual like comment forms, I guess? You say like, or is it like a Google Docs thing that they submit, or what does that look like for you?
No, it's a paper-based, kind of the print before the event, and we kind of collect after the event. It's more tangible, kind of feel and kind of, and I can see the numbers, to be honest, for my side. I can ask people to go next to them and say, can you please fill the form, which is a bit kind of, if you put, we have online forms, but it's rare that they may not want to or don't have time or forget.
So kind of a follow-up question is so we talked about, you know, there is value in your learning stuff, there's good networking. So for people who are kind of, you know, anywhere in that level of the journey around whatever the user group is organized around. So in our case, I think both of us are mostly involved in the PowerShell communities, right? And the DevOps communities. So even if it's for something else, if you're looking at getting into Python or whatever, what would you suggest to people who are kind of considering like, should I go to this meetup? Should I, you know, I feel like maybe there's, Because there's some misconceptions, I think, around like how much you have to know before you go versus like just going and attending. So what are your thoughts on that?
I expect the people to be the speakers or the organizers to put that information in the meetup page. I literally ask before the people kind of, you can ask questions, what kind of background I need, how much I need to commit, what I need to bring, because there have been Python, for example, community groups that I have to bring my laptop and do proper examples they've been through. That I wouldn't survive without the laptop. That is something you have to know. I think it's the more communication, more explicit of the pages that will tell what's the level. Most of the time, I'm lucky actually. They tell kind of which level they are looking for, and I do ask always, make sure that I'm on the right track.
That's really good advice, because I have like, so sometimes I've had a bad habit of just showing up, right? So like I just go to it and then I get there and like everybody's like, all right, this week we're going to be working on these things together. And I was like, oh, I can't do any React. I was here to just kind of hear some words. Oops. So that would probably help other people not put their feet in those bear traps. It's really, really good advice. Thank you. So kind of circling back, should I submit a talk to my local user group if I've come a couple times and I've looked around? Is that something that I should do? Should I think about giving a talk? Are there talks that are good to give? You know, from your perspective, both as an attendee and as an organizer, what are the things that you look for?
We are looking for new kind of people that hasn't been given talk before. It helps the community to share their passion, because the more you share, the more you learn. It's the best practice. I'm a formal trainer as well, kind of on and off. I give trainings on DevOps, and definitely that's something to be able to tell people. First, you have to know better. Then you get really good questions. If you are addressing more people, that the questions you wouldn't ask yourself. So it makes more exposure to the subject. It's make you more powerful. And the audience, apparently, if the user group is more friendly, then you have more shared experience. Nice. Which makes the whole thing better. And there is always starting point. The first talks are not going to be perfect. I think your expectation, my expectation, that we are never perfect people to get that out right. I'm sure there are some people, talented people doing that. I've seen lots of good talks. I mean, but it's part of the practice is getting it out, trying to understand what you want to share, what you can share, and how you can share. It could be a demo, it could be a presentation. You may want to mix it, but all your timings and kind of how you are going to get that through out of the door is your style, and you have to find out that style. You have to give a go. You have to try. I think being part of the community and sharing your experience, your knowledge, is like kind of making the community stronger.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would not be anywhere near where I am now if it wasn't for the community. If I hadn't had so many people who helped me, and like, you know, so many people have just published out resources, or you know, going in user groups and hearing them talk and share so much of their experiences and help you kind of avoid like all the mistakes that you don't want to make. I think I have to agree that some of the best things that you can do for yourself and for the community is to go to those user groups and talk.
I don't know there, but for example, in London, there are even meetup groups to encourage people and to show them how to give public speaking. There are specific meetup groups for technical speaking sessions that lots of people want to help, actually. The senior speakers who has been doing this for years or have the formal education of kind of speaking is another skill. But there are also meetups that you can build up those skills and share with people who want to share their information or knowledge.
So that's a really good point too. I didn't think about, you know, the meetup equivalent of Toastmasters, right? Do you think that technical meetups provide like a good safe space for people to try to, you know, learn to grow that skill set as well? you're going to have an interested audience in the topic. It's usually something that you're going to be a lot more comfortable talking about rather than the other stuff. And my experience has been that they're a little bit less judgy. So does it make sense to, if you're going to try to go for like a conference talk or something like that, does it make sense to maybe try a trial run at a user group?
Yeah, definitely. And some of the conferences especially look for it. They want to see your previous presentations because one of the feedbacks they get is it's a great topic. It's a great kind of technology to talk, but the speaker doesn't have any background experience on it. So I've seen this on the big conferences as a negative feedback that they try to avoid. So they want to ask that they do ask you what are your previous presentations. So it's building up, I guess.
So, okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's a really good point too, because that's one of the things that I guess you don't really think about. It's there's all the stress of submitting the talk and getting everything up there. You're like, okay, I think this is going to be really good, and they come back and they're like, that sounds great, but we have no idea if you can talk at all, and we don't want to give you a 35-minute slot and then have you bomb. That would be bad for you, bad for everybody. So maybe doing it somewhere locally might be a little bit of a good way to get started. So I have a follow-up question to all of this, and we've been kind of dancing around it. So your personal opinion as a community organizer, if there isn't already a community for me to go join and help out with, because I know we're always looking for those folks, right? You're always looking for help with all the organizational stuff. If that doesn't already exist, if there is no user group that I want in my area, should I try to start one? Should I, like, what should I do to kind of get rolling on that? Does it even make sense for me to just try to solo it and like just get it started? What do you do?
Definitely, it's kind of where it starts. If you have an idea, I even have a diagram for this to share. What we do is our kind of PowerShell user group, but I think it's general that the challenges you can go through. You can see now. Yeah. This is where the idea comes that if you have an idea to talk and kind of make people gather, you can have the meetup group publicly online. It's meetup.com or Eventbrite or another mean. And if you have a topic speaker, that we normally pick from the technical evangelists, MEPs, or the other people, or there are some conferences that get speakers are coming from US or Europe. We literally ask them and gather them. So what you can do is around that topic, you can find who is going to be interested in speaking, who would share this knowledge. I mean, LinkedIn or any provider gives you the names, and it's most of the time welcoming messages from the people if you ask they want to submit a talk. This is where I guess 2 months are advanced, so you plan your 2 months so people can provide a talk and propose a date that they can commit. Then finding a venue is the tricky part, because either your company should host the event or your place. If not, you have to find one of your friends or other meetup venues or the companies that want to, looking for recruitment, or the recruitment companies help you to the companies looking for growth. They want to host the events. Kind of, there are so many nice, friendly venues that you can share. They will just give the venue free. Then, if you want to provide food or beer or any part of the security to the venue, you need money. So it's not free, I'm afraid. It's free in a sense that you can share the information, but to run the meetup, you do need a bit of financial input. You can find sponsorships. Finding sponsorships is the tricky part. That you want to look for the tools or the relevancy of the people who want to promote their business through that meetup. And we announced them on the site saying that this person is part of our meetup sponsor. 1 week before we check the speakers, to kind of make sure they have the right projector adapters, that they are happy to do the talk. And Monday before, we have the attendee list. On the day, we prepare the feedback forms. If we have badges, we want to prepare the badges too. And 1 hour before, it's all the rush. One of us, or you need a possible delegate. One person running a meetup is a single point of failure. So if you have 2 people, the host arrives to the venue, prepare the introduction slides, what we want to say for the next meetup, or because we want to keep you more informed them and we want them to come to our next event as well. Order the food, and then welcoming. Networking is the most important part to keep them coming back, and the goodbye happens. Yes, that's it.
Can I steal a diagram?
Yes, sure. I can actually put on Twitter now as we speak.
I'll go ahead and include it in the show notes as well.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post the link out for everybody. While I'm doing that, so what have been your experiences? What are the best parts and the worst parts about being an organizer for you over the last couple of years?
Best part is meeting new people. Kind of, I always enjoy. Worst part is possibly time, the kind of commitment that I want to have more that I don't have. We want to do more meetups. We are planning for, we have done 1 workshop on Saturday, so we are kind of doing PowerShell Saturdays. And we will do 1-day conference. It's just, I want to do more of it. I love it, kind of being part of it, sharing the feedback we get from our attendees as well, make you more powerful, because they do enjoy and they do say thank you, which is the importance, I guess. Key makes me motivated and kind of come again and do more for the community.
Yeah, that's. I'm jealous that you've been able to get conferences going, honestly. So how did you get that to happen? I mean, organizing meetups is one level of difficulty, right? But then you look at organizing conferences, even 1-day conferences like a PowerShell Saturday. How did you get down that road, and what does that look like for you?
It's lots of actually communication within the team, because we have a couple of organizers. We are lucky. We have 5 organizers on our meetup group, to be honest. So each one does help a lot. And being organized is part of the team now. Commit more and want to deliver more to the team. Number of organizers, I say. As a backup, if we want.
Yeah, if we have audio back. Sorry about that.
Okay. If you need a backup, or if we need to propose a talk, now our kind of organizer committee is good that they can deliver talks. For the workshop, that's what we wanted to do. One of your questions was, we have beginner level people. We want to dedicate a half a day Saturday event for them, because we want them to be upskilled when they come to the event. If they kind of don't make sense the whole picture, they can't follow what's going on the talk, it means we need to upskill them. Kind of, we want to get them to the point where we can communicate easier. And this is where the Saturday events kind of started. We have basic skills that, like training, proper training. It's a workshop. Upgrade the skills of people. the main motivation, so that we have more knowledgeable people to talk and we can push the borders together better, kind of in a more confident way. That we know our base, we know our attendees, and we invest in them in a sense that literally we want to be together, but we want to share and knowledgeable about what we talk, what we know.
That is a really, really cool thing to hear, is that you guys, your team is spending time trying to explicitly improve the community for the community's own sake, right? Because I mean, I could see where that kind of like, that feeds back into the organizer group too, right? So the more people who feel like they're at the level where they can contribute back by speaking, the more likely it is you get more diverse speaker lists, and the quality of your overall kind of experience continues to grow as well as the attendees grow. So that's really, really cool to hear. I'm taking lots and lots of notes for our meetup now. So are there any things that you think we should definitely cover around user groups that I've completely missed? I think I'm out of my pre-fabricated questions at this point. I think you're still muted. Oh, you can't think of anything? Okay. So you got started running, you've run, how many PowerShell Saturdays have your team put together now?
We have done this one, and we are doing another one in October. And we are planning for the Monday event on September. So it will be a full day conference.
Wow, I'm impressed. We've been talking about doing a PowerShell Saturday around here for a little while. So I think it's something we're going to try somewhere around February for us. But when you ran the first one, what were the things that surprised you about running the PowerShell Saturday? What was the experience that was the most shocking from the perspective of you and the team?
Attendee rate, I was expecting kind of 10%. Normally, it depends on the marketing. Like the turn rate, it really depends on how much marketing you did, how many times you tweet, how many times you email the attendee group. So I think I haven't done the maths yet, but I'm sure there is a correlation between the marketing goes on and the attendees turn in to that event. And for Saturday, I was expecting 10%, to be honest. And it's literally 80% of the people turn, and I was like, oh my god, everyone came. And that was kind of my shocking part. Literally, people are available. I mean, some people think it's a Saturday, everyone has their own family life, or they want their social life to be not part of the work-related topic, but I think this is over being work-related. This is about improving yourself, being confident about yourself, and with the delegations, kind of sharing responsibility in the family. I think you can get over it. It's like running. If you want to, like a hobby that you want to do, you can go half a day for any kind of activity. PowerShell is one of them, I guess. That's you do learn. It's one of the hobbies, best hobby, I guess, you can ever have.
Yeah, it's nice to get a hobby that kind of feeds back into your career, right? It's one of the things where it's interesting, and I think so. My experience has been that the community itself has been really, really welcoming and friendly and helpful. Have you found pretty much the same? And then how did that compare for you with some of the other communities? Or have you've been lucky as, it's consistently pretty good across the board for you?
I'm lucky. I'm consistent. I used to be part of Alt.NET user group 10 years back in London. There are lovely people. I still have lunches with the organizer and the community. I think that it's something in its nature makes it sharing and exploring together, that adventure, kind of you go through an adventure together, and it leaves marks, very positive marks on your life. And I do believe that that makes you stronger, kind of feeling more comfortable about yourself, because it's part of exploring yourself, understanding yourself, what you like, what you want to do, and how you do things. The more milestones you get on your life, it makes kind of the building blocks of your life is stronger. So I'm lucky. I've been most of my meetups. I've been loyal. That I have good relationships still.
So you've had a lot of experience both running and participating. What would you suggest to people who are looking to get into it? Like, so what are some of like the most important things to nail down in like the first 3 to 6 months? Is it, do you need to have everything figured out right when you get started, or is there some stuff you can kind of, you know, iterate on top of it and figure it out? But then is there also some stuff that's like critical, like make sure you've thought these things through first?
My first principle is timing, because I have a little one on family life. For example, I have Tuesday and Thursday support. I can't attend to any meetups on other days, unfortunately. So if a meetup has regular timings, it makes me comfortable to commit to that user group. If the user group is arranging kind of one first week of month, Tuesday, and then the next month, Wednesday, I'm not that flexible, it's me. But I feel more comfortable if the meetup is organized on the X Wednesday or which day is organized, then I can commit to the next one. I know that. And if it's kind of different, I can't see the point going to those meetups. I know I'm gonna miss one in the way. It doesn't make me comfortable going. So that's one thing. It means there are lovely people. I'm sure they are doing lovely things. It doesn't mean about the meetup, but it's my attendee attendance rate will drop. The other thing is how relevant that I want to use in my work, really. Kind of, it can be a drawing or a music meetup that we are not talking, but I want to get something to work at least today or this year in my work. If it's too far, the subject is kind of not relevant to what I will be doing, then it's too much distraction to me too. So I try to stay away that. I'm rather focused on something with similar things that I'm doing and people are doing, so that we can share something baseline. It's otherwise a big jump that I have to go through. I don't have time, and I know if even I do the first one and the second one, the third one I will fail. So it's kind of that I want to step back and make confidence steps. And possibly someone from my company that attends, someone I know makes kind of the first attempt, they want to join. So I see some companies, people do send out emails when they go to meetups. So if they...
Oops, audio. Sorry, guys. We'll be right back.
Sorry. Yeah, it's... what was I saying?
I think we were on
company plan comes and goes. If you are going to meetup, why don't you kind of email everyone on your company, on your kind of department, say, no, I'm going to meetup today, and I think this is relevant to what we do. They want to join us, and that makes you more comfortable in the meetup because you have a friend with you, and when you come back, kind of you can discuss in further the topics and the other things together. I do value more if more people are coming from the same companies, that I know that they're going to come back with more sharing information and knowledge with us.
That makes a huge amount of sense to me. So circling back around just a little bit, one of the things that you said earlier was around sponsorship and finances, right? How did you find your footing around that? Was it just that you had some contacts before and you were able to just kind of make it work, or was it, you know, going door to door with tech recruiters and trying to find ones that would be easy to work with without being, you know, too intrusive, or what did all that look like for you and your teams?
I would love to. Is right now we found one. Finally, but over the last year, I would say it's our pocket, my own and my kind of unfortunately that we failed to get or we failed to have time to explore kind of the necessity of sponsorship. We paid from our pocket and we said, okay, kind of we do something we like, so it's kind of our own contribution, our own sponsorship in a sense. But now we have one, and going for a proper conference with the cost of the things, we do value more about building relationships, because this is a business. It's becoming more like an organization. We need more long-term relationships. And we have to understand what our user groups like. They will be interested in. They want to see either discounts, either kind of it could be tools for companies or the recruitment companies that will make ourselves more comfortable, because it's a business. Unfortunately, kind of I don't like being in part of that corporate hat, but to long live, I guess, to support our continuity, we have to get the fundamentals right. So we got sponsorships now. We have proper agreements, contracts. Then we are in kind of in the process of setting up a company.
Yeah, so we've been, I would guess, 80% out of my pocket since we started. So I'm deeply envious of the full sponsorship kind of thing and working through all that. We've managed to get so in our area, coming by places has been one of the harder things. And it's really easy to give people super cheap, terrible pizza because they'll still show up and eat it. But getting locations was difficult. So now we have 2 sponsors that give us locations once a quarter, which means we have a rotating location 4 times a year. And what we found was that if we go to the same place over and over again, some people will show up, but where we live in St. Louis, there's the metro is split across the Mississippi. So there's a lot of people who just, like, after work, they will not cross the river. Like, it just doesn't matter. They're just not, I'm not going across the river. It's after work. I'm going home. If I have to go across the river, I'll skip it. So if we have anything on one side of the river, we miss that whole half, right? And then if we flip it to the other side, we miss them. So by rotating, we get a bit of a better kind of view. But it's, go ahead.
Got the traffic.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I don't blame them either. Although we have a guy, Michael Shepard, who attends every month on a 3-hour drive. he lives out in a bit of a rural area, and he'll drive out every month to come out and attend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have him. He's super helpful. He's talked a couple of times. He's actually, a lot of people in the PowerShell community may have run across him on Stack Overflow. Turns out he's one of the top contributors, and I was wondering why he looked so familiar. And then I asked a question like a day or 2 later on Stack Overflow, and he was the person who answered. And I was like, oh, he's answered like all of my questions. Like, that's how I knew who he was.
Perfect. Long-term relationships and the word is small.
So we've talked about running the user group and around getting some finances. You mentioned some of the financial stuff around getting the conference up and running. Has that been an experience that you think that more user groups should try to do, like a small, more focused conference? I mean, I think it would probably be a bad idea for a user group to go from, we're attending, now let's go ahead and have a 5-day conference and fly people in, and that probably won't work, right? But maybe like something a Saturday or a Tuesday conference or something small. How did you make the decision to jump into that? And then what has that been like for you as you roll forward?
I think the Saturday event was a bit for us test drive to see how we get organized, how well we are doing, so that we can ask more people. We have a website right now, and we have call for proposals is open. I should share this now. I can actually Share, it's quite tricky for the people. Getting up the people, we found it's more complicated than we thought. I think the can you see? You can't see. Okay, share. I'm trying to share. What? Okay, if I do entire screen, can you see now? This is our PowerShell day, one-day conference. And we have the call for proposals, which is kind of anyone can do it and go submit a talk. We are still trying to find speakers, so we are a bit late, to be honest. So I'm not going to say it's perfectly going well, but I think the excitement every time you organize something, you realize the workload it requires to get the sponsors right, to get the speakers right, because now it's multiple people, multiple threads are going on, how they are going to sell the tickets. So you need to find the ticketing system, you need to find the kind of sponsorship forms and the brochures to distribute people. You have to get the speakers right, because there are so many people around the world that can be around or may not be. It's kind of getting more complicated than like 10 times more than one meetup. So I would say if you can handle 10 meetups in one day, then you are good for one-day conference. That's the level I would set.
So I feel like it's impossible without getting more organizers, which makes a lot of sense, right?
We have, to be honest, 5 MVPs right now in our committee, organizer committee, and they do great kind of helping us. But cost-wise and the work required, one day is literally equal to 10 times one meetup. Because one meetup is you need 2 people, just get them kind of, and we find a venue and you can pay from your pocket. It's done, dusted. With the conference, we are doing 6 sessions, 2 tracks, so 12 speakers we need. It's 6 times, in a sense, the number of people you deal with, but the all attendance and the website and the marketing side of the things becomes together. And we are not sure if we can find people to pay the ticket as well, because we are selling tickets now. It's not a free event, unfortunately. That's where we need to find more sponsors, and we need to get more kind of sound noise out of it.
I'm really, really hoping that I can figure out a magical way to get travel to show up for the event. I'd love to go, but it's, you know, flying across the Atlantic is a little on the expensive side. So.
And we are not, unfortunately, we are not covering the cost of the travels and the hotel for this year. I don't know.
Yeah, but that also makes sense too, because, you know, it's without having those deep sponsors behind you. That's, you know, what, you know, you'd have a one-day conference and to cover all those costs without any of that help, you know, that starts going up from, you know, $50, or I guess, you know, you get to the point where it's like, well, I don't know if I have 500 sitting around that I could spend on a one-day conference, or 1,000 or 2,000, but at the same time, you know, it's interesting to me, having attended my first one of the bigger conferences that I traveled out for earlier this year. So much of the value just came from meeting the people who were there. The networking side, which you've alluded to several times, the networking part of the meetup and of the conference seems to be as valuable as the content, if not more so. Would you say that's pretty fair?
Definitely, that's the best thing I get out of conferences. It's the people who makes it valuable. It could be the speakers, it could be the attendees, I mean, your level, or kind of time spending on spend, but literally it's what you get out of it is the people, because it's a long-term, really it turns into a long-term relationship. You share the same things. As your Stack Overflow example is very similar to my experience as well, that I see people on, on Twitter or somewhere else, on the forums, that we talk and we see each other kind of, I say yes on this kind of person. It makes the human touch, kind of personal touch to it, rather than being just online across the world or across the country.
So before we've got about 10 minutes left, are there any topics that you want to cover? Maybe they don't have to be directly related to user group, that kind of thing. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of bring up?
Is one thing I want to see more, and I want to, I don't know how, but we'll make it happen, is number of the kind of diversity, the percentage of the diversity in the road. Unfortunately, you may have seen there are some photos of our meetups. The number of ladies attending to our meetups is maximum 1 up until now. I mean, apart from myself. So I want to see more ladies. I know it's hard. I know it's lots of commitment to, even for kind of male, to be there. But I'm hoping I can get more noise around ladies attending those or the PowerShell conferences. It's part of the family share. What I do with my husband is we do bonus systems. So if I take one day out, one night out, then he has a bonus to use some time matter. So it's kind of, I'm hoping that there will be more ways to engage ladies attending to the meetups and PowerShell user groups that I want to see. It's really hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm sure there's a way out as well.
There has to be a way for us to improve. I didn't realize it was a theoretical problem to me until I became an organizer, right? And then you look around at 7 or 8 meetups in a row, and you realize that in our case, where we are, is that you go through 7 or 8 meetups, and probably 90 to 95% of the attendees are white men over the age of 35. Right? And you look around, you're like, that can't be all the people who are doing Windows operations in the area, right? Like, I know that there are people who benefit from this stuff that aren't here. So I've been asking myself recently, and with my new co-organizer, we've been talking a little bit around what are the filters that we have in place that are preventing people from showing up. And when we do have people who aren't the white guy over 35, right? When we do have people come by, a lot of the times they don't come back for a second or a third one, and it, what we wonder is it because there's not enough representation early that they they look around, they go, oh, this isn't for me, right? I'm the only person who doesn't look like that. How do I want to feel? I'm trying to figure out, and I'm stumbling all over the words because I don't know what the right ones are, right? I want to find a way that we can bring a much more diverse kind of background and experience to the user groups themselves, because, I mean, selfishly, study after study after study shows that the more people you put in a room that don't have the exact same life experiences, the better everybody in the room comes out for it, right? And it doesn't matter if you're trying to solve, a particular problem, or if it's overall just kind of learning or whatever. Like, it seems to be true. And then I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that could use some of the things that they get talked about at the user groups. That could use the connections or the information, and they're not getting it somehow. And I feel like, at least at some level, that's on us as organizers. I think you're still muted.
Yeah, sure, thank you. Definitely, I personally go to the people coming if I see a lady, because I know it's kind of, I feel I'm the person representing the minority, so I have an advantage there. And literally talk to them and encourage them to come to the next one, so, or try to understand why can't they make it. But it's kind of with minority in a sense, which I don't want to use the word, but it's the number of people are so low that you can't get more information about them, where they work, what they do, how they can come to the event, or why they can't come to the event. It's just the data is not enough to explore and understand. So it's a hard question on trying to still find out. The thing I spotted is that the other groups are coming from like testing or database side of things rather than being the full infrastructure engineer, DevOps engineer, mainstream usage of PowerShell. So I'm planning to explore more of the side. Silos, actually, they are all coming together now. So it's the exploring point for me is to understand how it's being used and how we can integrate more with other departments or the people who have more different titles in it. And trying to find the sister or brother meetups and go them and find out more people there to invite to our meetup, so that we can do cross-pollination. I mean, it's two ways, it's not one way. But I do believe there are lots of meetups around us that are not aware of us, possibly, talk similar things, or one or two subjects of us doesn't have done the pollination yet. So I want to explore more about our baseline, how we are doing, what we are doing.
I think that's an awesome way to kind of look at it. It's something that I think makes a lot of sense. Is that we had an accountant come to one of the PowerShell meetups, which was something that we should have expected because we were at Equifax, right? But we stopped and thought, and we asked him, okay, just kind of talking with him, what is it that you do? And he's like, oh, I'm an accountant, and I use PowerShell to do some data manipulation before I put it into spreadsheets. And it was kind of like a ... Wait, what? Right? Like it's so easy to forget how many of the experiences of everything that we do crosses those boundaries. And I think reaching out to those other communities to kind of see what their experiences are and to share those and then invite them to come back and hear it from the other side of the fence might be a really good idea that I cannot believe I did not think of up to this point. That's a phenomenal idea. Thank you.
Actually, more than that, you can submit a talk. Then you get better kind of audience and no famous or
Well, thank you so much for your time. I think we're coming up towards the end of our hour that we've allotted, and I don't want to take up too much of your. I was looking because I have 3 screens up that are showing places where people might have had last-minute questions. But thank you so much for your time and for doing the hard work of organizing and community evangelism, because it made a huge difference to me when I first got into the community to find people like you. And I know that there are a lot of people who have benefited from all the work that you've been doing in the community. So thank you so much for all of it. You are still muted.
Thank you for inviting, sir. It's been a pleasure for me. It's kind of great topic on really, it's very special to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, have a great night, and we will see everybody next episode after I figure out who we're going to interview. Be safe, have fun.